Picture this. It's a gray October morning on the Fraser River in British Columbia, the kind of morning where the mountains disappear into cloud and the dock smells like diesel and wet rope. I'm standing next to a man named Gordon, retired pipe fitter from Fort St. John, 62 years old, done working, ready to live. He'd spent 14 months researching boats, watched every YouTube video, visited every marina from Richmond to Sydney, talked to every dealer within 100 kilometers of Vancouver. And right there in front of him, gleaming under the fluorescent lights of a Steveston broker's yard, sat a brand new trawler, $240,000 Canadian. He was ready to sign. I asked him one question. Gordon, have you seen the engine room? He hadn't. I've been in the marine industry in Canada for over 30 years. I've surveyed boats from Haida Gwaii to Halifax. I've walked through engine rooms that would make a grown man cry. And I've watched good Canadians hand over life savings for boats that looked beautiful on the outside and were quietly rotting from the inside. I've also found the ones nobody wants, the ones sitting forgotten in marinas in Nanaimo, in Penetangishene, in Lunenburg. Boats that were built so well that they will genuinely outlast everything being manufactured today. Here's what the dealers will never tell you. The golden age of trawler construction happened between 1965 and 1995. During those decades, builders used construction standards, hull thicknesses, and engine installations that modern manufacturers simply cannot afford to replicate at current price points. The boats built in that era were over-engineered. And because they're old, because they look dated, because they don't have touch screens and USB ports, Canadians walk right past them. Today I'm going to show you 7 trawlers that nobody is buying in Canada right now. And I'm going to show you why that is the single greatest opportunity in the Canadian used boat market. We're counting down from 7 to 1, and I promise you, by the time we reach number 1, you will understand why experienced cruisers from Vancouver Island to Newfoundland seek out these specific boats while everyone else chases something shiny and new. Stay with me, because the boat in the number 1 position changed Gordon's life, and it might change yours. Number 7, the CHB 34. Trawler Dave and Linda from Barrie, Ontario, came to me wanting a trawler for Great Lakes cruising. They'd been looking at a new Ranger Tug 33, a fine boat, don't get me wrong, but with a price tag pushing $180,000 Canadian, it was stretching their retirement budget to the absolute limit. I showed them a CHB 34 instead. What most people don't realize about the CHB, the China Harbor boat, is that these vessels were built in Taiwan during the 1970s and early 1980s to American export standards that were extraordinarily demanding. The hulls are solid fiberglass layup, not cord, which means no delamination, no moisture intrusion behind the skin. The engine rooms on these boats are some of the most accessible I have ever surveyed. Dave laughed when he first stood in it. I can actually reach everything, he said. He paid $28,000 CAD for a well-maintained 1979 example. Linda repainted the interior over one winter. They've cruised from Georgian Bay to the Trent Severn 3 years running without a single major mechanical issue. Who should buy a CHB 34? Couples or solo cruisers doing freshwater or mild coastal work who want maximum mechanical simplicity and zero structural drama. Who should avoid it? Anyone needing offshore capability or planning extended Pacific coast passages in serious weather. Number 6, the Marine Trader. 34. A retired school teacher from Fredericton named Paul called me after losing a bidding war on a newer main ship. He was frustrated, over budget, and ready to give up. I told him about a Marine Trader 34 sitting in a Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, marina that the owner wanted gone before winter storage fees hit. Here's what nobody tells you about the Marine Trader line. These boats were built in Taiwan, specifically for North American liveaboard and long-range cruising use. They are heavy displacement vessels, meaning they are slow, stable, and extraordinarily fuel-efficient. Paul's Marine Trader burns less than 4 liters per hour at cruise speed. His neighbor's newer Express cruiser burns 3 times that. Over a single season on the Bras-d'Or Lakes, Paul calculated he saved over $4,000 in fuel alone compared to what he would have spent in the boat he originally wanted. The detail that changes everything with Marine Traders. The teak interior joinery was built by craftsmen who treated woodworking as a professional art. You cannot buy that quality of interior finish in a new boat at any price under $300,000 today. Who should buy a Marine Trader 34? retired cruisers, liveaboards, and budget-conscious buyers who prioritize comfort, fuel economy, and interior quality. Who should avoid it? Buyers who need speed or who aren't prepared to invest time in teak maintenance. Number 5. The Willard 30 Trawler. I remember the first time I saw a Willard 30 up close. It was in a Victoria, BC boatyard, pulled out for a survey I was doing on a neighboring vessel. The owner was a former Coast Guard auxiliary volunteer named Brian. Practical man, new boats, wasn't interested in impressing anyone. He'd paid $19,000 for it. The hull was so thick I actually measured it during the survey out of pure curiosity. 450 thousandths of an inch in some sections. That is tank-like construction by any modern standard. What the sales brochures leave out about most modern fiberglass trawlers is that hull thickness has been reduced significantly in manufacturing over the past 2 decades to cut costs and reduce weight. The Willard 30 was built in California with a philosophy of absolute structural overkill. Brian has taken his through the Gulf Islands in November swells that turned other boats around. The boat didn't even complain. Who should buy a Willard 30? BC coastal cruisers, anyone navigating exposed waters, and buyers who want genuine blue water capability at a fraction of blue water prices. Who should avoid it? Buyers needing significant cabin space. It is a compact vessel. Number 4. The Albin 25 and 27. Trawler. Before we go further, if this kind of hard-earned, experience-based information is valuable to you, hit that subscribe button right now. Every week, I release content like this specifically for Canadian boaters, buyers, and people planning their next chapter on the water. You won't find this kind of analysis in any dealer showroom. Subscribe, and let's keep going. Magda and her husband Thomas moved to Halifax from Mississauga after he retired from the auto sector. They wanted something they could manage as a couple without hiring crew, something that fit their budget, and something that could handle Nova Scotia coastal conditions. Everyone at the marina told them to buy a newer cuddy cabin. I told them to look at an Albin 27 trawler. Here's what nobody tells you about the Albin line. These are Swedish-designed boats, and Scandinavian marine engineering is obsessed with one thing above everything else: surviving cold, rough, unforgiving water. The Albin 27 was designed for the North Sea. Nova Scotia waters are practically calm by comparison. Magda and Tomish found a 1988 example in Lunenburg for $22,000 Canadian. Surveyed clean. Engine ran perfectly. They've since explored the entire South Shore and are planning a run-up to Cape Breton next summer. Who should buy an Albin 27? Atlantic coast cruisers, couples wanting manageable size with real offshore DNA. Who should avoid it? Great Lakes buyers who need more interior space for extended trips. Number 3. The Tallycraft 30 Sedan. A contact of mine, Terry, a contractor from Kelowna who spends summers on Okanagan Lake, asked me why he should consider a 40-year-old boat over something from this decade. I told him to look up what Tallycraft charged for a survey at the end of their production run. Then look up what they found. Then look at what modern equivalents charge for the same thing. The Tallycraft 30 Sedan was built in Washington State, just across the border from BC, and the Pacific Northwest heritage of that boat is embedded in every weld and every fiberglass joint. These boats were engineered for cold, gray, unforgiving Pacific water, the detail that changes everything. Tallycraft used a modified V-hull design that delivers a genuinely comfortable ride and chop, something many pure displacement trawlers in this size range cannot claim. Terry paid $31,000. He said it handles Okanagan chop better than his neighbor's $65,000 new model. Who should buy a Tallycraft 30? BC interior lake cruisers, coastal BC buyers, anyone who values ride quality and Pacific Northwest construction standards. Who should avoid it? Buyers wanting a traditional deep displacement passage maker. Number 2. The Grand Banks. 32. I need to be direct with you here. If you are a serious Canadian cruiser, if you are planning to cover real distance, if you want to spend weeks on the water rather than weekends, the Grand Banks 32 is one of the finest small trawlers ever built. Period. And right now, in the Canadian market, you can find them for between $45,000 and $90,000, depending on condition. The new equivalent would cost you north of $300,000. I showed a Grand Banks 32 to a couple from Victoria, retired nurse, and a retired RCMP officer named Janet and Claude, who had budgeted $120,000 for their retirement boat. When I told them they could have a Grand Banks 32 for $68,000 and spend the rest on refit and equipment, Claude looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Then he went inside the boat. Then he went into the engine room. Then he came back out and said, "This is better built than my house." He was not entirely wrong. What most people don't realize about Grand Banks is that the company was founded on a single commitment: build boats that last generations. The 32 features hand-laid fiberglass hull construction, solid teak interior joinery, a full keel for directional stability, and an engine room layout that a professional mechanic will actually thank you for. Janet and Claude are now on their third season, having cruised from Victoria to Desolation Sound and back twice. Fuel costs predictable. Mechanical surprises zero. Who should buy a Grand Banks 32? Serious cruisers with moderate budgets, couples planning extended coastal passages, anyone who wants investment-grade quality at used market prices. Who should avoid it? Buyers who need speed or who want the latest electronics already integrated. Number 1. The Monk-designed or D-Fever 44 Series Trawlers. And here we are. Number 1. The boat I told Gordon about on that gray October morning on the Fraser River. The Arthur DeFever designed trawlers, particularly the 44 and 48-foot variants built through the 1970s and 1980s, represent something that no longer exists in production boat building. A vessel designed from the keel up for ocean passage making, built with structural integrity that was never compromised for production cost, and now available in the Canadian market for between $60,000 and $120,000 Canadian. Here's what nobody tells you. Arthur DeFever was an American naval architect who believed small boats should be able to cross oceans. His designs influenced an entire generation of Pacific trawler construction. The boats built to his specifications, by yards in Taiwan and occasionally in the US, feature full keel construction, protected running gear, massive fuel tankage relative to displacement, and engine rooms so well thought out that veteran marine mechanics specifically seek out survey work on them because they enjoy working on them. Gordon paid $84,000 for a 1981 DeFever 44. He spent $12,000 on a professional refit through the winter, new electronics, fresh bottom paint, service on the Lehman diesel. That diesel, by the way, is a marinized Ford engine with parts availability so strong that you can source components in Campbell River, in Lunenburg, or in Thunder Bay without special ordering anything. Gordon left Victoria in May. He called me from Prince Rupert in June. He called me from Ketchikan, Alaska in July. The boat never missed a beat. The detail that changes everything. At $84,000 plus $12,000 in refit, Gordon owns a vessel with the structural integrity, the range, and the sea-keeping ability of boats that sell new today for $400,000. The used market has not caught up to what these boats actually are. Here's a quick recap. The CHB 34 for Great Lakes simplicity. The Marine Trader 34 for live aboard comfort and fuel economy. The Willard 30 for bulletproof coastal BC capability. The Albin 27 for Atlantic coast, cruising with Scandinavian toughness. The Tollycraft 30 for Pacific Northwest ride quality. The Grand Banks 32 for investment-grade craftsmanship at used market prices. And above all of them, the DeFever 44, a genuine ocean-capable passage maker that Canadians are walking past every single day. The biggest mistake I see Canadian buyers make is paying for newness instead of paying for quality. These 7 boats are the proof that quality and newness are not the same thing, and never have been. If this information helped you, please like this video, leave a comment telling me which boat caught your attention, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. There are more overlooked opportunities in the Canadian marine market than most people ever realize, and I'm not done showing them to you.